A profile on Charles Dickens, an English novelist. Charles Dickens was a famous novelist and social critic during the 19th century. Dickens became famous for his exquisite books such as Oliver Twist and A Christmas Carol. But where did it begin for Charles Dickens? Let's take a look at his early life and find out more. It begins in Portsmouth, England, on February 7, 1812. He was born Charles John Huffam Dickens to John and Elizabeth Dickens. He was the second of 8 children born into this middle-class family. His father John was a clerk at the Naval Pay Office, but mounting debt eventually caught up with this family, ultimately landing John in a prison to pay his debts and subsequently pushing Charles, at just 12 years old, to work at the blackening factory. The time his father spent in prison molded Dickens to be who he was. He developed an ambitious personality that would skyrocket his success in life later on. After the blacking factory, he went on to work at a solicitor's office and later as a shorthand reporter of parliamentary proceedings. With his difficult childhood behind him, Charles was determined to be successful. His rise to fame was around the corner, but little did he know. At 21, he began his official career as a writer by publishing Sketches by Boz and accepting a job as a reporter. His rise to fame began in 1836 when he published the Pickwick Papers. His continued success created more opportunities for Dickens to publish his writings. Soon after the release of the Pickwick Papers, a serial publication, he released Oliver Twist between 1837 and 1839 as a serial publication and later as a book in 1838. Oliver Twist is about an orphaned boy who spends his early life in an orphanage and then transfers to a working house. He moves on to the home of an undertaker, and after severe abuse, he runs away to London. In London, Oliver joins a criminal gang of pickpocketers. After the success of Oliver Twist, Dickens travels to the United States and creates a name for himself there too. During the Christmas season of 1843, he releases A Christmas Carol, introducing the world to his character, Ebenezer Scrooge. A Christmas Carol was initially poorly accepted, but gained notoriety later on. The story was written after Dickens visited a school in London. The story seems to take on some likeness to Dickens' life. Scrooge is a lonely workhorse, and Dickens definitely could have been Scrooge in some way. Dickens spending his childhood working for 10 or more hours per day was extremely lonely, I'm sure, and seemed to be more focused on his career throughout his life. Scrooge is visited by 3 ghosts and his business partner. The ghosts entice Scrooge to help out Bob Cratchit and his family. Dickens was always touched by charity, and like Scrooge in the end of the story, dispersed his wealth amongst others. Like A Christmas Carol and Oliver Twist, Dickens' stories offer more than a fun story. They created awareness for the poverty-stricken families and encouraged individuals to do more for those in their community. Dickens was an inspiration then and continues to inspire and evoke positive conversations about the social injustices all around us. On his tomb it reads, "He was a sympathizer to the poor, the suffering, and the oppressed, and by his death one of England's greatest writers is lost to the world." This statement holds true today. Charles John Huffam Dickens continues to be one of the greatest writers of the 19th century, a man we will never forget.